el exec, el Vele, el fenómeno que todos quieren ser, el chamaquito que no pueden entender.
How we doing, guys? How we doing? Episode 82 of the Exec Talk. I am your host, Del Velez. Welcome to this. Good morning. This is Thursday, February 15th. I hope you guys enjoyed your Valentine's Day with your significant other, your friends, or your loved ones. Happy Valentine's Day all to you. And in this episode, since it's like post-Super Bowl, post-reaction, we're just going to do kind of like an overview. I was told by a viewer, one of the very first comments ever, not on the actual channel, is one of my good friends, Angel. He texted me, and he had some thoughts about the last week's episode. So he was like, he thinks that, you know, or he surmised that, oh, you're very biased towards the Chiefs, which makes it harder to listen to. Also crazy for you that you think that a turning point was the missed extra point and not the muff point. You're talking about 1 point versus a TD that the Chiefs pretty much got handed. Of course, the extra point would have made a huge difference, but come on. That was a huge morale boost for KC and drop for San Francisco. Also, no mention of the Greenlaw injury. Well, Angel, I appreciate your commentary. I always appreciate criticisms and observations. It's the only way to get better. You're not going to be hot shit and the best all the time. You try to be, but you know we're humans. We make mistakes. We have our biases and all that. So shout out Angel for stepping up to the plate and saying it with his chest. Now to the commentary. After thinking about it, doing a little bit more research and everything, the Dre Greenlaw injury, let's start with that. He tore his Achilles coming onto the field in the second quarter. When you lose the second best linebacker in your team and possibly top 10, if not top 5 linebacker in the league, along the guy that you pair along with Fred Warner, that they're on a string. I saw the mic'd up of the whole game. Fred Warner was devastated. When Dre got injured, he did a prayer. He was crying, like he was emotional. You could clearly see it when he tore his Achilles. You saw the reverberation go up his calf. It was blatant. It was just like we saw A-Rod, just like we saw J.K. Dobbins, we saw Kirk Cousins, Jalen Phillips. Like, it was the same reverberation, him jumping up and down, getting hyped, and then as soon as he plants to go to the field, boom, the left Achilles explodes. Listen, I'm not gonna downplay. I'm sorry that I didn't cover it last time. I guess I was just too excited for the Chiefs and what it meant for Pat and Andy and Travis and Chris and stuff, Spags. But, talking about the 49ers, I think the game plan was well done. They were going against the second best defense in the NFL all year, especially in the playoffs. And we're going to get to something that happened yesterday that nobody was kind of expecting, but it kind of shows you how on pins and needles Kyle Shanahan is as a coach, and how that organization is desperate. So the Dre Greenlaw injury, he was playing well, he was playing great. He gets injured, boom, that Oren Burks has to come in. Now, when we talk about the extra point and the punt, now I get that the punt is the turning point in most people's eyes, because it was a 7-point swing immediately on 2 plays. You can't control where the ball bounces. It hit the San Francisco. Ray tried to pick it up, didn't, and then Jalen Watson, I believe the second-year corner, was the one that picked it up, scooped it up. A switch release concept on the next play, MVS is wide open as Kittle and Pacheco take 2 and leave MVS wide open, while Oren Burks doesn't get enough deepness. So Dre Greenlaw not being there, Oren Burks doesn't get enough depth towards the end zone. So Patty throws it over the top, touchdown. They go up, first lead. Now, I want to talk about everything about the San Francisco 49ers. So we're going to talk about with Brock Purdy. Brock gave the lead and walked off the field with the lead twice. So got to give him props for that. Okay, now, the problem that people are kind of, you take the good with the bad, right? So, yeah, he leaves the field with the lead, but it's field goals, not touchdowns. It's 3, not 7. Now, is that on Brock Purdy or is that on Kyle? Well, when you are calling the play, and I saw the replay when the mic'd up was happening, he was like, Christian on that 3rd and 4 in regulation with 2 minutes left after the 2-minute warning. You think that, maybe they should go to Christian. And it looks like Christian was getting open, but like I said in the last pod, McDuffie literally synced himself up with Karlaftis behind him and kind of just created a blind spot that Brock didn't see. Now, on the play, you see that Ayuk is wide open on the inside slant. But what I'm thinking is, even though he's open and McDuffie's coming into Brock's face, I think that the amount of time, the tenths of a second that it takes, or the milliseconds that it takes for him to register that Ayuk is open to the time that he gets to throw and cock the ball, I think that time McDuffie closes that gap. So the ball might look like it's going to Jawan Jennings, but I think he was looking for BA. But BA outran the route because he had to adjust because of McDuffie coming. So, okay, you get 3 there. Pat goes down, he ties it. Get into overtime. Let's talk about the overtime decision. We talked about it. You don't give Patrick Mahomes 4 downs. You rather give him 3 downs. If he's going to score, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown, let him score. And then you have the ball in your possession with 4 downs and knowing what you have to do. Now, the fact that Juszczyk, which is from Harvard, and Eric Armstead did not know the overtime rules and the Chiefs did, when they're on the bench, they're like, oh, yeah, if we go down and go score, we can defend and everything. It's and then Juszczyk is like, no, we go down and score, we win. It's no, the rules changed. It's since when? And then they're 2 years ago. And then he's like, oh, I didn't know that. And then when he's heading out to the field, he's like, so when we score, they get the ball back? It's yeah. It's oh, I didn't know that. Kyle Juszczyk, one of the smartest guys on that team and in the NFL. So that goes down to preparation, right? Okay, that's fine. You learn it on the fly. Okay. You take the ball first, which is what the Chiefs wanted you to do. And Kyle explains oh, we always wanted to have the ball third. But like how I said in the last pod, you got to take care of the first 2 first. If you can finish it in 2 possessions, why not finish it in 2 possessions? Why are you already looking forward to the third? To me, that's just a little overthinking of him, a little too much overanalyzing. From what we've heard, it's been done since training camp, and it was reiterated during the bye week for the Chiefs. If we go to overtime, we are deferring. If we win the toss, we're deferring. We want the ball second. Because we're going for 2 anyway. And I thought that was interesting because that's mean Andy Reid just wanted to win. Andy Reid didn't care. He scores 6. No, I want 8. I want to put the ultimate pressure on him and then let our defense eat. So, I understand that. But, so, the biggest problem probably in Kyle Shanahan's game plan and approach in that game, you saw that McCaffrey got 22 carries, right? But in the 3rd quarter, they went 9 passes in a row during the 3 and outs. And I think that if you have a guy like CMC, he has to touch the ball at least once in the run game. You were doing pretty well with the run. I mean, you were getting stuffed a little bit, but there was some seams there, especially in the 4th quarter when you went and tied it when you went and took the lead at 19-16, there were seams there that you were running through, and in the overtime a little bit too. So Kyle Shanahan not leaning on his All-Pro Offensive Player of the Year, running back and best running back in the league. It kind of just those type of decisions over Kyle Shanahan's career, whether it was him at the offensive coordinator spot in Atlanta. It wasn't really his fault. Dan Quinn was the head coach, and the defense was kind of what failed him there, but he turned it over. I mean, Matt Ryan, instead of running out the clock, which is what they should have done at 28-3, he started passing an incomplete 3-and-out, and you let Brady get back in the game. But as a coach for the 49ers, we have seen blunders like this before, whether it's against Green Bay, whether against the Rams. He always goes away from what's working. During the season, that's the opposite. During the season, he bludgeons you. If you can't stop the run, he'll keep running it 35 times. He's ran for 300 yards plus before in the playoffs. I don't understand, and I wanted the Chiefs to win, but I don't understand, if something has worked for you for so long and you have the best guy in the world to do it, why you go away from it. Now, I said this. I was like, why is it that even when Kansas City, they weren't leading. This was, beginning of the third quarter after the pick. They felt the pressure from Kansas City, even at 10-3, to stop running the ball, while KC made a considerate and conscientious effort to run the ball. And I'm just like this. I'm like, you have CMC. Why are we not running the ball? So if there's something that Kyle Shanahan should look at in this game and be like, besides Patrick Mahomes being Patrick Mahomes, what beat us is maybe I got away from the run too quick, which is exactly what Jim Harbaugh did against the Chiefs at home with the Ravens. And Lamar didn't take advantage of the lanes that were there. Now let's look at the 49ers offense as a whole. All your All-Pros went for 8 catches and 92 yards. Total. That's not counting CMC. CMC's the running back. I'm talking about the receiving core. Kittle, Ayuk, Debo. 92 yards, 8 catches. That's a hell of a defensive job. Now, should you draw up some more slants? Should you draw up some more bubble screens? Should you, draw up some more flood concepts, 1-2s, high-lows, to try to get those guys rubs, to get those guys open? Maybe. But everything in Kyle Shanahan's offense is based off the running game. And if the running game is not what he's using, the drop back passing game, and this is not even coming from me, this is coming from experts and people that break down the All-22, the film, the drop back passing game of the 49ers is not refined. It's not really polished because everything is based off the run and play action. So, encompassing all that, seeing that at halftime, Kittle doesn't have much of an impact. Debo hasn't had much of an impact. Ayuk to some extent hasn't had that much of an impact. You would think that it would start with CMC and then start spreading out like it usually does. But for Kyle to go away from who he is, why? Is it intimidation from Spags? Is it Andy Reid on the other side? Is it knowing that the sleeping giant can wake up at any time and you need to get points on the board? What is that pressure? Because on the sideline, they were like 10-3 is not going to win this game. You know that. That's what the 49ers were saying. It's like 10-3 is not going to win this game. 10 points will not win this game. So, like, they were feeling the urgency, which is understandable. You're going against Patrick Mahomes and the defending champs. But for you to panic that hard, to me, it's panic. Like, if you don't give CMC the ball when it's probably the best thing you can do, that's a little panic on the coaching side for me. Brock played well. Brock played well enough to win. He had the best QBR passer rating against this defense of anybody in the playoffs. He played the best against this Kansas City Chiefs defense. But sometimes your coach maybe doesn't give you answers. And sometimes when we look at the third down in overtime, the protection bust. And that's what happened, the protection bust. Now, was it a good scheme, disguise, / blitz and pressure by Spags? Yeah, absolutely. To get Chris Jones one-on-one, confuse the right tackle that Chris Jones was coming, that Chris Jones was maybe rushing outside. Chris Jones stunts inside. And the blitzer, the outside blitz, I think it was Nick Bolton, if not the safety, blitz outside. You're supposed to go inside out there as a tackle. He picks the outside guy, and then here comes Chris Jones scot-free up the C-gap right into Purdy's face. He had Juwan Jennings open, and on the backside, he had Brandon Ayuk open. So he could have had a touchdown. Kick the field goal. So you walk off the field. So as a quarterback, you want 6, right? But the most important thing is to get the lead in that moment. Get the lead. All right, we got the lead. Now you would think that a defense, granted, no Dre Greenlaw, big loss, but as a defense that had, I don't know, a top 5, top 3 defense all year, we're mauling people, known for your physicality and everything, that you could maybe bow up one more time. The problem is, and I don't want to sound like a Chiefs, bandwagoner or anything like that, but it's just the truth. At the end of the fourth quarter, the reason they tied the game wasn't because they got the 4th down. It's because they ran out of time. It was 1st and 10 when they kicked the field goal after the Kelsey catch. So, or 2nd and 10. So if your defense, and also to the coin toss decision, he didn't want to put the defense out there. They were gassed. They were gassed after that last drive. To put him out there again and put him susceptible to another long drive, understandable. But it's Mahomes on the other side. So would you rather take the ball away from Mahomes and not give him 4 downs, even though your defense is susceptible, and give your offense just a clean 4-down shot to try to win the game or tie? That will be debated for the end of time. But for Shanahan and Wilks, that whole staff, to get up 3, having that defense, Nick Bosa, Chase Young, no Dre Greenlaw, I get it. I get that. But still have Hargrave and still have Fred Warner, Mooney, still have Charvarius Ward and Lenore, Gibson. You got to come up with a stop. You have to come up with a stop. They took you the length of the field. They started at the 25. It's not... for the 4th and 1 was the game. That was it. The 4th and 1 was the game. Then the 3rd and 1 a little bit later. But the 4th and 1 was the biggest play of the game. After the 3rd and 4 in regulation, where even Will Vinovich, or Steve Vinovich, the head referee, the white cap, he said, best play of the game, best play you got right here. This is the game right here. You don't want to get 15. You don't want to give 15 the ball again. Excuse me. When the refs know, that's like that Brady type of essence, like Jordan type of essence. You don't want to give the ball back, not with time, not with a chance, not to this guy. So for Shanahan, I understand your defense is tired, but you would rather put your defense out there, only give Pat three downs. It gives you more of a chance to stop them, maybe punt, maybe they go for it on fourth down, you know, and you know, there's a lot of ways that it could go out positive for you. But once you take the ball, you know, Pat knows he has 4 downs. And like I said, Brock Purdy played the game enough to win. He played well. He was hitting his spots. He was hitting his windows, good throws, poise, no turnovers. But he's 6 foot. And Spags loves to blitz on big downs and third downs. And disguises them pretty well. Exotics. And at the end of the day, you know, either Kyle didn't have answers for him, or Brock, you know, didn't have enough time. When you look at the play in overtime, when Chris Jones gets free, he has a touchdown. He has a touchdown to his right side on the flat to Jawan Jennings, and he has a touchdown on a backside slant / glance post route, skinny post by Brandon Ayuk. Wide open. Because he loses his defender. And since he doesn't have enough time, he can't throw the ball. Sometimes you just got to tip your cap to Spags. Now, that was a blown protection by the right tackle, and I understand that. But Spags dialed it up. But you had the right play. Kyle had the right play called. But my main thing is, like, you let your quarterback that was doubted all year, and since you started him, to leave the field with the lead twice, in the fourth quarter and in overtime. At this point, I'm not blaming shit on Brock Purdy. I saw him play. He played well and well enough to win. This goes on the defense. Now, it's Patrick Mahomes. I get it. I get that. I get that. It's a different animal. But this is the Super Bowl. Like, this is where you have to be at your best at 100% at the end of the game. And when you look at that last drive, after that 4th and 1, it was pretty smooth sailing. They knew they were going to score. They said it. In the mic'd up, they were like, yeah, we're going to go score. We're going to end it now. Like, when you're facing that type of team with that type of confidence, that type of, like, you know, the defense saying, all right, Pat, do your magic, baby. Take us home. You know, you feel that. That's like a momentum. That's a feeling that you get on the defensive side. Like, oh, man. It's funny because on the 4th and 1, Trent Williams was on the sideline. And he yelled out, alert the QB keep. As soon as the ball snapped. Whoop, QB keep. It was like, I knew it, man. He was going to use his legs, bro. Trent knowing that just shows like how good he is. Not just film study, but just football IQ. And knowing the player that he's looking at. San Francisco should have known that Pat would have done anything and everything to win that game. And in every single Super Bowl, he's used his legs. The last 2 especially. Remember how the last one ended. The big run, followed by the holding call, field goal. You got to understand who you're playing with and at the time you're playing them. If this is week 5, okay, maybe he doesn't run. Maybe they get something for Kelsey, which was supposed to be for Kelsey, but it got covered, so he took off. And he said it before the play. He was like, if it's not there, I'm out of there. I'm getting it. Sometimes you just got to give it up to a better football player. Now, what came of all this? Yesterday, we found out that Steve Wilks was fired, relieved of his duties as San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator. And if I'm being honest, I don't know why. He held the Chiefs to 19 points in 4 quarters. You know, I don't know what else you want as a defensive coordinator. You held them to 3 and outs, picked them off, fumble. It's not Steve Wilks' fault that CMC fumbles. It's not Steve Wilks' fault that the muff punt. It's not Steve Wilks' fault of the missed extra point, the blocked extra point, excuse me. And it's not Steve Wilks' fault that you get field goals and not touchdowns and you get 0 points off turnovers. 0 points off turnovers. That is the biggest thing about this game. Because the San Francisco 49ers had 1 turnover. And CMC fumbling didn't lead to any KC points. Because Pacheco fumbled. So once Pat gives you that pick in the first possession of the second half, that is huge. You have the ball on your side of the field, and you fail to even score 3. So it stays 10-3. Then the punt fest begins. And that third punt was the muffed one. Special teams is important too. Not that could ever be controlled. That play could not be controlled. That was just the luck of the bounce. Now, can Ray jump on it and not try to grab it with his hands? Yes. But, you know, he was the only one that knew that it got touched. When he touched it and he was bobbling it, that's when the Kansas City knew it was touched. So, you know, there's a lot of things that went into this game. And then for Steve Wilks to get fired, it's a scapegoat. It's a weak move. It's a weak move. They did it to him at Arizona. They did it to him in Carolina. And they're doing it to him in San Francisco. He was there for 1 year. Everybody else has been there for multiple years. D'Amico, Saleh. He had a better defense than D'Amico when it came to points per game, turnovers a game. They were close, but Steve Wilks' numbers were better as a defensive coordinator. And for him to get relieved of his duties because you lost the Super Bowl, you know, the only thing that I see when you break down the All-22 and people talking about it that have played the game at a high level, it said if the four-man front was working in the first half, why blitz him? Why blitz Pat? And as a defensive coordinator, when you're facing a guy like Patrick Mahomes, you have that constant fear in the back of your head, like, what if he figures it out? Like, what if he figures out how to beat the four-man pressure and then just starts dicing our zone up? Because they were playing a lot of zone. Unlike the Chiefs, they were playing man. They played 64% man. And the 49ers saw man 34% this year. So people were deathly scared of that receiver group playing man-to-man and one high against them. But Spags just said, nah, I got the dudes. Let's do it. Mano y mano. So shout out to Spags for having that much confidence in McDuffie and L'Jarius Sneed and Mike Edwards. But so, why do you go away from the four-man pressure? Why do you start trying to heat them up? Because against a guy like Brady, against a guy like Mahomes, against a guy like Peyton Manning, there's going to come a point where everything in his head will start to click. Those guys use the beginning of the game, in the playoffs especially, as a feeler. What are you going to do? How are you covering this? Okay, this is what you're doing to Kelsey. Okay, how is our running game? It's a feeler. Once I think he got confidence in the offense that he could move the ball down the field once the Pacheco fumble drive. When he threw it to McCole Hardman on that 52-yard bomb and Pacheco fumbled it, I think that's when he started thinking like, oh, maybe, you know, we can move the ball here. Like there's some seams that I can see. The pick, you know, puts him back in the third quarter. And then punt, because the defense is playing well. And then he finds MBS that open it kind of just unlocked something, and like it kind of just settled them down. It was like, okay, no problem. We're up. Now let's rethink the game plan. After that touchdown, they scored on every single drive. Touchdown, field goal, touchdown. That's how they ended the game. It just takes one play for these guys, bro. It doesn't take a series. It takes one play, whether it's a 5-yard first down, a 20-yard in cut, one play, and they're in rhythm. And once Pat, Brady, Peyton are in rhythm, Drew Brees, very hard to just mess up that clock. And for Steve Wilks to try to mess up that clock, he had it messed up in the first quarter, in the first half, holding them to 3 points. But those 3 points, that drive of 3 points told Pat, hey, I can move the ball on these guys. We just have to play us, protect, and I can find people. So you get the 3 points. We get to the second half. And then you kind of set him back to 0 with the pick. He's like, that's my fault. Overthrew it. Puts the defense on a bad spot. Defense holds up. And not just holds up well, 0 points. Gets the ball again. 3 and out. All right, let's punt. Defense holds up again. So it's still 10-3. Still 10-3. Then the third point. Boom. 13-10. Oh. What do we have here? I have the lead. Okay. Go to Coach Reed. Yo, I think we can do something. Okay. You know, Coach Reed's going to be like, absolutely. Brock comes down. Scores a touchdown. To Jawan Jennings. 16-3. Now, it should have been 17-3. Why is 17-3 so crucial? Now, I give you, the muff punt probably was the changing play of the game, and Dre Greenlaw getting hurt was probably a close second. But the reason the extra point is so vital is because it completely changes the play calling from Andy Reid on that last drive. Completely changes it. Because 13-17, I need a touchdown. I need it, so I'm going to risk it. I might go for it on fourth down. I might go for a big play. I need a touchdown. No ifs, ands, or buts. I cannot kick a field goal, be down 1, give you the ball back with 5 minutes left, 2 timeouts, and thinking I'm ever going to see it again. That's how QBs and head coaches think. So that blocked extra point, it's only 1 point, I get it. But in a 25-22 game, that's 3 points. 1 point makes a difference. But then Pat is like, you give him a little bit more life, saying, we need 3. We can settle for 3, 16-16. We'll be all right. And, you know, it gets to 16-16. He kicks the field goal. So you stop him, kicks the field goal, tied it. And then comes the 3rd and 4. Because they were moving the ball pretty well. They were about to get into solid field goal range. McDuffie blitz. Got to kick the field goal. 19-16. Pat wanted to go end it. Pat wanted to go end the game. He wanted to end it in regulation. But he drives down, does that run, and, you know, hits Kelsey to put him into stupid easy field goal range on that 3rd and 10. It was a 3rd and 10. The crossing route to Kelsey that it was him and Fred Warner. And it was a little bit of rub route, but Jalen Watson didn't even touch Fred Warner. He just kind of like, and got out of his way. But that little amount of just hesitation allowed Kelsey to just get 2 steps of separation, got it up the sideline, and made it an easy field goal. But that's because Pat didn't have enough time to score the touchdown. He had one play. It didn't work. He tried to throw the same fade ball that he threw, the back shoulder fade that he threw against Kyle Hamilton against Baltimore. Fred Warner was right there. All right, let's kick the field goal. 19-19. We're going to overtime. So Brock is okay. Brock is fine. So all the doubters about Brock, I don't want to hear it. Brock is a top 10 quarterback to me. Because to me, it doesn't matter where you get drafted. To me, it matters what you do. What you do with your opportunity. How poised are you in the pocket? How poised are you in 2-minute drills? Can you hit windows? Can you hit your right target at the right time? Can you maintain tempo? Are you composed? All that is Brock Purdy. Doesn't matter if he's the last pick in the draft. That doesn't mean jack shit when it comes to your work ethic, detail, and study habits, and work, and just putting in the work, your demeanor. So he gives you the lead. Okay, you can't keep it. All right, at least he doesn't beat you in regulation like he did Jalen Hurts last year. Let's go to overtime. Bam, driving down the field, boom, 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 boom. You get to the 20-something. Right there. Right there on a 3rd and 5. Missed assignment. So 49ers offense played well enough to win this game. Now, if you go through the All-22 and you see L'Jarius Sneed jamming Debo, or you see McDuffie jamming Ayuk, and you see Kittle getting hit by Nick Bolton or Willie Gay, and it affects their route in some way, that is why. That's why they weren't that effective. Because of that reason. You know? So, when you like dissect the whole thing, you got to be like, Brock Purdy did enough. He did enough. I'm not being biased here. I want him to succeed. I want the kid to succeed, and I know he's going to. He's good. He's really good. In my eyes, he is really good, and he's going to keep continuing being good. This was only his 2nd year, and not even, because he started in week 10. But, essentially, when you think about, Kyle Shanahan, Steve Wilks, everything together, I think that it comes down to you came up against Patrick Mahomes. You came up against Patrick Mahomes. You came up against Andy Reid. That's just the bottom line. Ask what happened to all the people that lost to Brady. 28-3. You were going against Brady. You had to kill him. That's what every analyst has said. You had to kill him. You had him 10-3. That's not enough. 10-3. That's not enough. Should have been 17-3. Rightfully so. They should have scored when CMC fumbled. But I wasn't being biased to the Chiefs. I was just excited. But for Steve Wilks to be the scapegoat out of all this when his defense played well and held the Chiefs to 19 points in 4 quarters, where's Kyle Shanahan going to go? There's no DeMeco's out there. There's no Robert Salas. Who are you going to get? Dan Quinn is with the Commanders. Mike McDonald is with Seattle. Where are you going? Who are you looking for? Mike Zimmer just went to the Cowboys. I don't know where he's going to go. Somebody inside the staff? Maybe. But, to get rid of Steve Wilks, a guy that has coached his ass off this year and done a great job, I just don't get it. I think he's just a scapegoat, just a reason to try to wash it and move on. Hey, we got a new defensive. Oh, we didn't like his schemes a little bit, but they worked. His schemes worked. So how are you going to say, oh, we didn't like it, what the philosophy wasn't right and everything? But they worked. You guys were one of the best defenses all year. But the scheme doesn't work. I just think it's excuses, to be honest, just in my opinion. Moving on. Dre Greenlaw, please get better. It's going to take a long road for you to get back. A long road. Because you tore your Achilles in the Super Bowl, being February. 9 to 12 month recovery. You'll be back maybe late next year if you get back. Late next year. So let's talk about a little story that came up. A little story that came up in the NBA. That the Golden State Warriors made a call. Made a call to Jeannie Buss and the Lakers to inquire about LeBron James possibly going to the Dubs. And when I first saw this, I was like, why? Why would you possibly want to get a 39-year-old expensive? I know you want to put him with Curry and they would be awesome, but then all the things you would have to give up and stuff, like, it didn't make sense to me. And they explained it. And when you look at both teams, both teams are missing something. One's missing scoring. The other one's missing late game defense. Late game execution. For the most part this season. Just like yesterday, they blew a 15-point lead, to the Clippers. They could have beat the second or third best team in the West, and they blew a 15-point lead. So, at home, unfortunately. So, LeBron to Golden State. The first thing that comes to mind is basketball IQ. If you're able to keep Draymond, then you're talking about three of the smartest players in the league and possibly in history. Steph Curry, LeBron, and Draymond. The offense would be lethal because then you have a supreme attacker at the rim, being LeBron, and distributor, and then the ultimate weapon on the perimeter. And he could go inside and finish as well, but the ultimate weapon is Steph. Clay would probably be out of there, so would Wiggins, most likely. If not JK. That would be bad because he's your best perimeter defender and the guy that could switch on mostly everybody, just like Wiggs. I just thought of it interesting, and Jeannie Buss having the dignity, I guess, to call Rich Paul, knowing that LeBron, she just wanted to know how LeBron's feeling. Is he happy with the Lakers? And Rich Paul said, yeah, he's happy. And as soon as Jeannie heard that, she shut it down. She was like, all right, no. That's fine. But what are you going to do for him? He's 39. You're ninth in the West. What are you doing to help him? You did nothing at the trade deadline. You think you have enough. Most people think you don't. And the reason why is because you will not beat Denver. Probably, if you count the refs might be the equaling factor between them and the Timberwolves and OKC. But you're not beating the Clippers. Not by a long shot. And there's still trouble if you face the Pelicans. There's still trouble if you face Dallas. There's still trouble if you face, a Suns. I don't know about the Kings. They don't have enough interior size to deal with Anthony Davis. But what are you doing to help him? And I get that his life is in LA. His house, kid is going to USC. The other Bryce is going to go to college soon. We don't know yet which one, but it's probably going to be either better than USC or, one of the blue bloods. And, him at Golden State would probably throw a wrench into a lot of his plans. whether it's movies, whether it's production, whether, whatever media deal he has, he wants to be a Laker. I get it. Even though before he said, oh, if there's a player that I want to play with, it's Steph Curry. I don't know if they're going to pursue it in the summer. Depending on what happens with the rest of the season with the Dubs, if they go make a playoff berth, if they go deep in the playoffs, they win the championship. Like, a lot of things can go different. The Lakers could flame out. The Lakers could make another deep run. They could possibly win a championship. So, nothing's out of the realm of possibility, even though that for us, as fans, we're looking at it as like the Lakers ain't going nowhere and Golden State ain't going nowhere. This is Denver, OKC, Clippers, Minnesota, and everybody else. Get in where you fit in. Now, if we look at the standings, Boston is kind of running away with the East. I think it's done. We're about to get to All-Star break. Actually, we're in All-Star break. The Celebrity All-Star game is today. So we're in All-Star break. So at All-Star break, we have 43-12 Boston, 6 games up in the East, 8-2 record, won 6 in a row. They're rolling. Cleveland, 6 games back at 36-17, 9-1 in their last 10. Milwaukee's 8 back, 35-20, not doing good. They're 4-6 in their last 10. Dame is averaging 20. Doc Rivers doesn't even know how to use a weapon like that. Gilbert Arenas explained it he's going to struggle because his Doc's offense does not run through the point guard. And when you're having a point guard that's that talented and elite and not using them, it's a travesty, to be honest. Philadelphia, the Knicks are 4th, 10 games back. So this is just intervals of 2 games each. 33-22, 10 games back, lost 4 in a row, 5 in the last 10. That's with no OG, no Julius Randle. 76ers are 5th, 32-22, 10.5 games back. So there's the half game right there between 4 and 5. They are 3-7 in their last 10. They're kind of sputtering there. Got to keep their head above water like we've talked about. Indiana's 31-25. They're 12.5 games back. So there's another two game separation. 5-5 in the last 10. Hey, their defense is just not good enough, man. They're giving up 122.3 points a game and scoring 123.7. That's just not going to cut it when you get to the playoffs. The Heat, 30-25, 13 games back, so a half game back of the top 6. We've won 2 in a row. We're 6-4 in their last 10 with no Jimmy since he got hurt. Orlando's 30-25, 13 games back, so right there with us. At the same 7-3 in their last 10. I told you that Paolo and Franz were going to start figuring it out again, and they were going to start winning games again. And then the 2 people that are just not going to get anywhere close to the 8 or 7 seed, in my opinion, is Chicago and Atlanta, respectively 17 and 19 games back. And they're 5-5 and 6-4 in their last 10 each. There's just not enough time, I believe, and enough wiggle room in the East for people to lose enough for them to move up. You're talking about a 5-game difference between 8 and 9, and then another 2-game difference to Atlanta. Brooklyn is 21.5 games back. That's 3.5, or 2.5. And they just can't finish games or get blown out like they did yesterday against the Celtics, 4-6 in their last 10. Toronto can't win nothing. They're 24 games back, 3 in a row losses, 3-7 in the last 10. Charlotte is showing a little bit of life. Not that they can get anywhere. They're literally 10.5 games back of the 10th spot at 29.5. But Brandon Miller is showing they've won 3 in a row, 3-7 in the last 10. But Brandon Miller is showing in these last 15 games, he scored 25 a game. He's showing why he was picked 2nd overall, why he was compared to Paul George, and he looks smooth and is going to be a 25 to 30 point scorer in this league for a very, very, very long time. So I got to congratulate the Charlotte Hornets and Brandon Miller for, making the best out of a bad situation, because the Charlotte Hornets, horrible, awful. This is what I think every time about the Charlotte Hornets. But with him, Brandon Miller, as the key piece, because I think LaMelo, unless he comes back and is absolutely spectacular, I think this is going to become Brandon Miller's team. He has a type of demeanor. He has a type of scoring ability, 6'9", can get to the rim, can dribble a little bit. His handle will get better. Defensive stopper. He can block, play two ways, shoot the three at a high clip, shoot the mid-range. He's a 3-level scorer. He is tenacious. I like what I'm seeing from the kid. Washington's horrible, 33.5. Lost 8 in a row, 2-8 in the last 10. I mean, it's just bad. Like, if I had a real say on who the worst team in the NBA was, I would say it was Washington more than Detroit. Detroit's one loss back, 34.5, and they've lost 3 of the last 10. Three in a row. They're 3-7 in their last 10. I wish they would just play the young guys. Literally just run out there with Asar, Cade, Jaden, Duran. Isaiah Jackson not no more though. He punched Yusuf Nurkic in the head, in the face, I think. So see what happens there. Moving on to the West, the absolute bunch up in the West. Minnesota still won 38-16. They won 3 of the last 3 straight. 7-3 in their last 10. Ant's playing great. I like what he's doing. He's not pushing the envelope, but when he has to in the third and especially the fourth quarter, he's looking for his shot. He's hunting. He knows that he can dominate if he wants to, but first few quarters, I see him, unless he's really hot, he's passive, getting Cat involved, getting Naz Reid, getting Kyle Anderson, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Mike Conley. Like, he's getting everybody else involved, Gobert. And then late second quarter, mid-second quarter, maybe like early third, late third, definitely the fourth, he is attacking. He's going forward. He wants to win. So if he finds a balance of always being aggressive, not just when he's hot, I think that bodes well for their offense going into the playoffs. We'll see how it gets after All-Star break. They should be, if not the same, better, because they get to gel more and Ant starts getting into real playoff mode. But we'll see, because, it's going to be a dogfight to the end, because OKC is 1 game back right there, 6-4 in their last 10. Clippers are 1.5 games back right there. They're 7-3 in their last 10. And Denver's 2.5 games back. Basically right there, 1 game back of the Clippers. 36-19. They're 5-5 in their last 10. 3 losses in a row. So that's a little concerning, but what I'm seeing from their highlights is Jamal is not being Jamal. And if there's one thing that you need Denver to have in order for them to be their unbeatable selves and silky smooth offense, is Jamal being Jamal. And I've always said, if Jamal is 25 a game with Jokic putting the numbers that he is, I think that's the unbeatable team in the NBA. But Jamal has to be that consistent 25 a game scorer, shooting the 3 at a high clip, the mid-range, getting inside, off the dribble handoffs, off the pick and roll, off of cuts, and right now I'm not seeing that. So 5-5 is a little concerning now that they're 2.5 games back of that top spot. They're, for the last 3 weeks, it's been like 0.5 a game, right there. But we'll see what happens. I think they'll pick it up after All-Star break. Phoenix, 33-22, 5.5 games back. They've won 2 in a row, 7-3 in their last 10. They're playing well. Still 5.5, so it's still 3 games behind Denver. But if Denver keeps sputtering after the All-Star break, there is a chance that Phoenix can overtake them, and then they'll be in the mix. New Orleans is 33-22, also 5.5 games back, 3 in a row, 7-3 in the last 10. Zion is playing like Zion. Brandon Ingram's playing like Brandon Ingram. Herb Jones is hitting his 3. Trey Murphy's hitting his 3. Alvarado's hitting the 3 and defending. They're playing really well, man. Really well. And if that team plays really well, they are scary. Remember, there's still no answer for Zion. He put up 36 yesterday on 15 of 21 shooting. What are you doing there? When everything's at the rim, what are you doing? You're not doing nothing. Zilch, you're not doing nothing. Zero. It doesn't matter who you have on the floor. From Kawhi to Anthony Davis, doesn't matter. Why? Because if he drives, somebody's going to collapse. And he's so good at finishing that he's either can finish or he can pass it out to BI, pass it out to CJ, pass it out to Herb Jones, pass it out to Trey Murphy, and you're getting dotted. So if this team gets it right, is healthy, could be a very, very, and I mean very scary team in the West come playoff time. We'll see what happens after the All-Star break. Dallas with their new little core there with PJ Washington and Gafford, 32-23, 6.5 games back, one away from 6 in a row, 7-3. I told you that Gafford and PJ was gonna be a big addition. Defensive rebounding is up. Defense is up. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's going to keep getting better after the All-Star break, I believe. I think that they're going to be one of the hottest teams going into the playoffs. Sac, 31-23, 7 games back, a half game back of 7, 5-5 in the last 10. It's tough with them. They're kind of just in that in-between, we can score, but we can't defend. And if we can't score, we still can't defend. It's tough. It's a tough look here to really dissect and analyze what's going on there, because against any other team, I just see them either getting bullied in the inside by teams like now Dallas, who they have, and New Orleans, Phoenix, Denver, Clippers, OKC, Minnesota, even the Lakers. But then I look at their scoring, it's like, Herder, and you got Fox, and you got Monk off the bench, and you got Keegan Murray, and Sabonis, like Harrison Barnes. Like, you got people that can score, but I don't see it there. I just don't see it. The Lakers are 9 games back, 30-26. They've won 3 in a row, 7-3 in the last 10. So it looks like they're turning up on the up and up. But then again, we have to see after All-Star break if that keeps up. AD, knock on wood, he's still very much healthy. So is LeBron. Austin Reeves seems to be playing better. So is D'Lo. So we'll see how that progresses. So is Rui. So let's see how that progresses moving forward. If they can get in a little groove like they did last year over the last 75% of the season, and see if they can get into the playoffs or in the play-in, kind of rolling a little bit. Golden State, they lost yesterday to the Clippers, heartbreaking fashion at home. Could have won, could have been 27-26, only a game back of the Lakers. We're 2 games back now. It's 9 games to 11 games back. Utah's a game and a half back of us. 7-3 in their last 10. I think that yesterday was not. When I say it wasn't alarming, it wasn't alarming in the fact that we got absolutely dominated. It's alarming in the fact that we gave up another lead at home. And Curry said it after the game. He said, we have to go back to people having that home court fear against us that they can't win here. Right now we're playing really average or below average at home, when it comes to ending games. And I completely agree. The Dubs, when they were on the dynastic run, you could not win at Oracle. You couldn't win at I'm trying to think of it now. The arena. I forgot the arena. It's still with a C. But you couldn't win there. You could not win there. Like, you were going to have to bust your ass to try to get a win there. It was like this. And Steph scoring 41 yesterday and still you not winning is highly unacceptable. You can't have a guy play at the peak of his powers and be in such a dominant force on the floor against a team like without Kawhi. Remember, this is the Clippers without Kawhi, so that brings another factor into it. You know, Dubs were completely healthy without Chris Paul, might add you, but that's it. And for them to dominate the game, have a 10-point lead, 11-point lead, 15-point lead, and then just give it up in the end, like, it's just, it doesn't sit right. It doesn't sit right as a fan. It doesn't sit right as a basketball guy that analyzes the team and sees what Curry's putting out on the floor. And, you know, I just wanted to be better. But, you know, like we said, it might be over. It might be done, so. Utah, like we said, they're 12 and a half games back, so a game and a half away from Golden State in that 10th seed in the play-in. They've lost 3 in a row, 4-6. I think losing Ochai Agbaji hurt him. Fontecchio hurt him. I think Keontae George, they have to give him more responsibility. Let Laurie score more. Use Walker Kessler more. I think they're still focusing too much on Colin Sexton and Jordan Clarkson. They're giving THT, Taylor Horton Tucker, they're giving him a lot of run. I think this team should start learning how to run through Laurie and Keontae George. That's the two future pieces. You know, get Taylor Hendricks in there. They're getting him in a little bit. I think you should speed him up a little bit, let him play more, let him get his offense under himself. And I think that by that, you know, you start cooking at least either after All-Star break or, you know, after this season. Houston has kind of become a disaster since Cam Whitmore got hurt, or even before that. They're 3-7 in their last 10. Cam Whitmore's supposed to play. I don't know if he's in the Rising Stars game, but he was supposed to play yesterday. He did not. They lost. They're 14 games back, 2.5 games back of the Utah. I don't think that at this point, even after the All-Star break, I don't think that they will be effective enough, even if they give Cam Whitmore the keys, which is what they should do. It should be Alfred Sengun and Cam Whitmore and Amen Thompson. That should be the starting lineup. Get rid of Van Fleet, you know, or start him from off the bench, or start Fred and, you know, sit Jalen Green. Jalen Green, to me, is the new Jordan Clarkson. That's just my personal opinion. To me, they play the same way. You know, JG has more explosiveness and going to the rim, but like they're both slim, skinny, microwavable scorers type. I think Cam Whitmore is just a way better prospect and just younger and just a better player at this point. And when he gets back, I hope that they start him because they have nothing to lose right now. Memphis, 19.5 games back. They're not going nowhere. They're 1-9 the last 10. I think that it's time to start Gigi Jackson. He's starting to become kind of like the focal point of the offense when Triple J is not on the floor. He's hitting threes at an extremely high clip. He's long. He can get in transition. He's defending pretty well. I think that this 19-year-old could become something really special, especially when Ja and Desmond Bane get back and Marcus Smart gets back, you know, next year. I think they could have another piece there that is very valuable and effective, but I think they should start giving him starting minutes. I don't know, maybe above Zaire Williams or Vince Williams Jr., which is playing well, but, you know, I know you don't want to sit Santi, but I think Gigi should get more playing time. I like what he's doing. And like I said, you have nothing to lose, so might as well try it. Portland lost 5 in a row, 3-7 in their last 10, 22.5 games back. No shade and Sharp still. You got Scoot coming off the bench again. I don't understand what's the reason. I don't care. I honestly do not care the reason. if I'm being like honest, like you drafted him 3rd overall, play him regardless if if he's struggling. Like you're struggling too as a team, period. It's not like you guys are doing something great. Like play him, let him learn. After All-Star break, give him the keys and let him learn, because next year he has to be the guy. It's not going to be Anthony Simon. It's not going to be Shaden Sharp. I think it's going to be Scoot, but you have to let him learn through his mistakes. Learn the pick and roll. Learn where his spots are. Learn where to attack, when to attack. Change his speeds, finishing at the rim, shooting. You have to give him reps. And coming off the bench, I do not see that happening. He has to start games. He's going to start next year. At least I think so. If you get rid of Malcolm Brogdon, which you should. So he can open up his space and Shaden Sharp, But, they're 22 and a half games back. And then San Antonio, 27 and a half games back. They're 2-8 in the last 10. But the thing about San Antonio, it's not their record. It's what Wemby's doing in 29 minutes. That's what he's averaging. Not 36, not 34, not even 30. This man's averaging 29 minutes, just had a 27, 14 rebound, and 10 block triple-double. David Robinson was the last guy to do that. He did it 3 times in his rookie year, which is insane, but he was 27 coming off the Navy. So, he was a grown man. But at 20 years old, Victor's doing stuff that very few people in the NBA's history has ever done. I believe that he will be the first guy in our lifetime to get a quadruple-double. Sometime in his career, I don't think it'd be this year, but I think next year, because he also had 5 assists in that game, so it is possible for him to do. Now, they have to keep Devin Vassell, and then after that, ring around the rosy, pick, duck, goose, who the hell you getting out, who are you getting back in, because I think Vic and Devin Vassell are your key pieces. Maybe keep a Collins as a backup center. Branham, Keldon Johnson. I feel like all these, keep Trey Jones as your point guard, unless you're going to bring in a guy like Trey Young. But other than that, I think that the 2 pieces you keep is Devin Vassell as your scorer, as your 2 guard, and then of course Vic. Moving forward, everything else, sell the farm and see what you can get back to build up this team, because next year you should be somewhat competitive with Vic, the way he's playing. I think he's at 20, 10, and 3 blocks right now, leading the league in blocks. That might turn into, in 29 minutes, that might turn into maybe Gilbert Arenas set around 27 next year, depending on the jump. And he looked at Luka. Luka started with 21, went to 28 year 2. So if the minutes restriction is gone and he's playing 36, 37 minutes a game, closer to like 40, I think that very possible for him to be at the 27, 28 game, 15 rebound, 4.5, almost 5 blocks. That would be like my estimation, maybe like 6, 7 assists. That would be my estimation, because he could do everything on the floor. It's amazing to see this kid play. Everything that was said about him pre-draft was accurate. He is the alien that is coming for the NBA next, and whoever wants a title, Ant, Shea, Jokic if he wants more, Embiid, Tatum, Giannis, like, get him now. Get him now. Because once this guy wakes up, it's going to be a tall task in that Western Conference, and he's not leaving San Antonio. Ever. So he's going to be just like Tim Duncan, 20 years, 25 years to the Spurs. So I think he's great, man. I think he's great. I think the Daytona 500 might be this weekend. I'm excited for that because, we're back to racing. We're back to my normal sports schedule, which is basically like after football season ends, it's literally, you know, um, you watch racing, but it depends what racing you're watching. So starting in February, you got your first NASCAR races, and then you have IndyCar starting in March 10th, which is around the same time. Yeah, February 29th to March 2nd is the first Formula One Grand Prix in Bahrain. So this is where it gets good. MLB starts in April, obviously. Everybody report. Actually, no, spring training starts February 22nd. But Yoshinobu Yamamoto, I saw him warm up in report yesterday as a pitcher. So I saw Shohei Ohtani hit a ball after surgery. They look good. Yamamoto, people were picking him as a preseason Cy Young candidate winner in his rookie year. I mean, I get it. Guy came in with a sub 2 ERA from Japan and the MPB. I just got to see how it's going to play. And if he plays like that, I mean, there is no holes on this Dodgers team. When you look at lineup wise with Mookie and Freeman, Ohtani, and Lux, and that's a lot. That's a lot. They should be projected to win at least 100 games. Same thing with Atlanta. They're just too good of programs to not win consistently. I'm excited for Formula One. I'm excited for the new Mercedes. I want to see some competition. It might be McLaren versus Red Bull this year. It might be Mercedes versus Red Bull this year. It might be Mercedes, McLaren, Red Bull this year. It might be Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, McLaren, Aston Martin. It might, you know what I'm saying? It might be all competitive. I would love that. I don't want to see Verstappen 15 seconds ahead on lap 10. That would be very boring, especially if the DRS is still as powerful as it is for that car. Christian Horner with the allegations that he had a toxic workplace. We'll see how that gets resolved. I knew that he was a hard ass just by when you watch Drive to Survive. You just can tell that he's like that. But Toto's a little bit more easygoing. But if you want to win, I guess you got to have that type of mentality. Just you can't treat your your employees like ass, and abuse them to a certain extent, work wise. So. I'm excited for all that. I'm excited for IndyCar. Excited for IMSA. Sebring here is in a couple of weeks. The 12 hours of Sebring. But I'm excited for everything sports related that we're getting. Corbin Burns went to the Baltimore Orioles. That bolsters up that rotation a big boost to that rotation. It was already good with Gibson and Kramer and Rodriguez. And you look at that lineup, and Jackson Holliday will probably start this year. So everything is looking good for the Baltimore Orioles. Got to see what Aaron Boone said that they're focusing on a championship. You got Juan Soto. Rodon should have a better year this year. You got the Cy Young winner in Garrett Cole. You have Marcus Stroman, so he should be bolstering up that rotation. Aaron Judge, hopefully he doesn't get hurt and stays healthy. Anthony Volpe have another good year. You're hoping as a Yankees fan, but everything in the sports world is going great. I love it. I love that we're getting into racing season. I love that we're getting into draft season. We're going to start breaking down these teams. We're going to start looking forward to the combine. I'm going to start doing some study work on these receivers, on this running backs, on, of course, the quarterbacks, the O-line as much as I can, D-line, corners, safeties, linebackers. Like, I really want to see what this class is about. I know that the high end is quarterback and wide receiver and offensive tackle. There is some defensive tackles like Braylon Trice, Latu from UCLA. You have you got DJ Turner from Alabama. So you have some Devondre Sweat from at D tackle for Texas. So you have some big guys up front that are doing good. Joe Alt, Fashanu, Fuaga. Everything looks really high end at the top. But, what's going on at 1? Are they going to keep Justin Fields? Are they trading out? Are they going to take Caleb? Does that mean Jaden Daniels goes to 2? Do they take Drake May? What does Patriots do? Like, I just know that Marvin Harrison, if he falls to 4, Kyler Murray's going to run in the card by himself. That's what I think is going to happen. Malik Neighbors will go next, and then I believe Adunze goes next. I think those are your top 3 receivers. I don't see that changing much. It probably goes all Fashanu, maybe Fuaga, around there. I think that's your offensive tackles. I think it goes Caleb, Drake, Jaden. But Jaden in the combine could really show his throwing arm and his running is elite. So maybe he goes to 2 and they do I wouldn't say the same mistake as RG3 tore his ACL, but when he won the Rookie of the Year. But do they take the running quarterback with the arm, or do they go Drake May, the Josh Allen prototype? We'll see at the combine, but I'm excited. I'm excited for the sports to keep continuing. We're going to keep going here on the Exec Talk. And like, subscribe, comment. I would love to answer your comments. I will be on there. If you guys comment, like the video, turn on your notification bell, keep sharing everywhere. I'm in the process of making clips for you guys to put up on social media and stuff like that. So keep following me. I love you guys. Thank you for all the support. I'm El Velez. This is the Exec Talk, and I'll leave you with the outro.